much for that introduction.
Sorry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eric Swanson, and I'm honored to be here. I'm actually going to be speaking on behalf of all the summer interns for the Baylor libraries. So what I did, I'm a second year's master's student in museum studies here at Baylor University, and one of my requirements is that I had to actually intern at a museum institution. And so lots of my colleagues decided to go outside of Baylor, but I saw in Baylor a very unique opportunity for me to be able to work with a very educated staff and also be able to work more hands-on with the actual objects. And the Poage Library is a phenomenal institution. The Poage Library's mission statement reveals an institution dedicated to preserving the political materials of a U.S. congressman and other politicians. I was happily surprised to learn that the Poage Library actually contains much, much more than that. It's actually a wealth of knowledge. So these were some of my main responsibilities when I was working at the Poage Library. So my main responsibilities was designing the 35th anniversary exhibit. So it was the 35th year that the Poage Library had been in function, and so we're going to make a giant exhibit. And so the challenge for me was trying to find what objects truly reflected the Poage Library. Because it's more than just the papers and the archives. It's all these countless objects that we have. And some of the unique items which I found in the collections include Jack Ruby's prison slipper, which was a phenomenal find. A bar of soap from William McKinley's presidential campaign, which was actually shaped like a baby, and it was just as adorable as it sounds. And then lastly, a voting machine from 1940. And so whenever I was giving tours, I would like to show the people who came in to be like, do you see who actually won the 1940 election? And hopefully I understood that they knew who Franklin Delano Roosevelt was. There were a few instances where some adults did not know, but we're just going to glass on past that. Next slide, please. So these are some of the tasks that I had to do. So I'm actually receiving a phenomenal education here at Baylor University. And so, legitimately. And so one of the things that they did not prepare me for was all of the ironing that I was going to have to do. My mother is very proud of me. When I showed her these pictures, she actually brought out all her dresses and now expects me to do all the work for her, which I, of course, am more than happy to do. Another thing that this hands-on experience told me was how to adjust lights, because that was something that I didn't really pay attention to until I realized that a certain amount of light just makes your exhibits pop much more nicely. Another thing I did was learn to spray paint. I learned that you should always have a mask. If you do not have a mask, you inhale it, and it is just not good. And then this here is the finale. So as you can see, we have the bunting across the entire top, and then those are actually copies of newspapers that the Poage has. The Poage has a phenomenal collection of newspapers, ranging from everything from the Hindenburg disaster to many JFK assassination newspapers. We have a Death of Hitler, a Death of Mussolini newspaper. It's just phenomenal, the amount of materials that we have. And it was a very exciting but difficult challenge trying to decide what materials I wanted to put up. This is just another picture. I, of course, saw that neon Bob Bullock sign and knew I immediately had to put that in the exhibit. I didn't care where it was going in, but that was going in. We also have 9/11 newspapers, and this is also one of my most favorite pieces. It is actually a Valentine's Day dress. So people used to love our president so much they would make dresses, and FDR was somebody's lucky Valentine. And so this is me talking to a group of children called the I Engage group. They were a group of middle schools that actually visited Poage Legislative Library for a day, and there were different stations, and one of the stations I did was talking about how politics can go from a national level and then also to more of a local level. And so it was very interesting talking to them about that and showing them the different objects. And they were actually very interested in the materials. I was trying to reflect back when I was a 12-year-old, if I had been interested, if I was giving that presentation to myself. But for some reason, they have a better attention span than I did at 12, which I was very thankful for. There's me again, same picture. And here's last of the group of kids. And so one of the reasons that I'm here to talk to you today is why continue to fund these library interns? And so I have two responses, and the first is this picture right here. I've never seen a more pure, unadulterated joy on these kids' faces ever. And the fact that we, as a Poage Library and other libraries in general here on campus, are able to provide that to these children, that means a lot to me as a young museum professional. And it really makes Baylor University look phenomenal. And the other example I'll give you is actually an anecdote. So that very same day, we actually had a group of Texas legislators come and visit the museum. So I gave them a quick tour, a very impromptu tour. I was not prepared as well as I would have liked to have been, but they seemed to like it so much. And so at one point, they were talking to director Ben Rogers. And I overheard one legislator said that, and this is a direct quote, he said that the Poage Library is the hidden gem of Baylor University. And I could not agree with him more. Like, I have learned a tremendous amount while here at Baylor University, and it's entirely to your generosity to providing interns like myself with this unique opportunity. And so, of course, I would like to thank you to Ms. Hillman for inviting me to this event. I'd like to thank you to Ben Rogers, who unfortunately could not be here, Mary Goolsby, Bill Hare, Debbie Todd, and the rest of the many, many, many people who have helped me on this phenomenal journey. And then I would be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about Ben Rogers, the man who made this all happen. Ben is, without a doubt, the most honest man I have ever met in my entire life, which has its upsides and downsides. But the one thing that nobody can even remotely doubt is that Ben loves this institution and he loves the students. He loves what he does. And to me, it makes me want to go to work. And I talk to my colleagues who work at other places, even at different universities. And most of them, they like their boss, but there's no real connection with that. The connection that Ben and I have, the connection that Ben has with all of his students is truly marvelous. And I was unfortunate he's not able to be here today, because he's been here for 25 years, and of course it's the one time we want to actually honor him with something, he's not here. So I feel like that was planned. But if you'll please join me in a round of applause, just thanking Ben for what he's done. And that is all I had. So thank you again very much. I appreciate this opportunity.
Great job.
Isn't Eric terrific?
Yeah.
Let's give him another hand. I gotta tell you, every day we can hardly wait to get up and get here, honest to goodness. And I want to recognize the Poage Library faculty and staff. If you could all stand, I want us to give them a big hand. And I want to tell you that it's fun to be on the library board. If you think it's fun to be on the library board, I want to hear a round of applause here. That is not loud enough. Oh. We had such a fun day today, and as you probably have figured out, those that are our guests tonight, along with the board, is that we are featuring the Poage Library, but we have many great libraries at Baylor, and each board meeting we usually select a library that we're going to feature, and so this is Poage's moment. And we are, of course, so disappointed that Ben Rogers couldn't be with us. And how many of you do know Ben? Okay, so you know Ben. Ben has worked for us about 26 years, and he has never taken a sick day. I mean, I'm telling the truth here, not even one sick day. And unfortunately, he had to have some emergency back surgery about a month ago, and so he's doing great. He said he's not having pain, he's feeling great, but he is still recovering, so I talked to him. But we are recording this. Hello, Ben. Because, I'm with Eric. I think it's kind of a conspiracy, How likely is it that 26 years go by and you never have a sick day, but you don't want to be recognized? Because he's a very humble person, as you know, and he was pretty mortified to think we would honor him in any way. So now we can just, with abandon, honor him all we want. That's going to be great. The library board today, we spent the whole afternoon over at Poage Library, and we do lots of different things on the library board, but today we did a day where we really got our hands on, I mean literally got our hands on, and we divided up into 3 different groups and had 3 different experiences working with the archives, all kinds of different things. And I know most of you may know Chet Edwards. Chet, stand up for us here in the back. Chet Edwards, one of our faculty. you know him as your former congressman here in McLennan County, but we know him as our distinguished faculty member for public service. And we are in year 4 of processing Chet's collection. It's like a big collection, okay? And so today, the board members, one of the activities was to go into the processing area and to actually sort a box that came from Chet's office when he finished his term.
I apologize.
And it was quite interesting. And now I have many trained people who can help us, Chet. So yeah, it was great. I told him today, many hands make light work. You know, they're helping us out. But we learned about metadata. We went down and saw the the stacks and where we store the materials, how that's done, and it was just fantastic. The whole library faculty were there and the staff helping us. So anyway, it was a great time. We're so thankful for our library board members. They do have an amazing amount of fun, but they also serve us as being ambassadors for the library, learning about what we do, because sometimes people are not as aware of what librarians actually do and what the library staff and faculty are up to, and the technology that we have there, and this electronic library and the things that they do. So it's really great to have people who totally get us and then go out and tell people about our work and encourage people to support the library. So tonight we're going to recognize 4 outgoing board members, and we hate to see them go, but they can come back. Ever so often they have to rest 1 year. It's kind of biblical, you know. They need to have a Sabbath, you know. And often they do come back to be with us. And so I'll mention that Steve Gardner is going to be coming on as our new faculty representative. Let's recognize Steve. And Steve's coming back. He's been a representative before. We always appreciate the faculty and also the others that represent us. So I'm going to ask Jeff Steele, if he doesn't mind, to come up and help me, because we would like to invite the board members we're recognizing down, and we have material here for them. And I'm going to start with Nancy Jackson. We have a few photos of her, because Kathy always takes good photos of our events. And we have a plaque for you, Nancy, that Jeff has for you here. And yes, the official handshake. And we're going to pose for the picture. And we're posing, hold on. And Nancy, I just want to thank you. She served as our chair. She's been a great advocate for the libraries. And we're also dedicating a book to you in the library. And we chose one called Her Texas, Story, Image, Poem, and Song. And it was edited by kind of a group of women, many of whom are from Baylor faculty. And so we really hope you'll enjoy that and come visit your book often. But it'll be placed in the library for you. Okay, God bless you, and thank you so much. I would like to introduce is Sue Wright. So Sue, a new resident of Waco. She and her husband Dove just retired in Waco here and moved here. We're so happy to have them to be Wacoans. And Sue has also served as chair, past chair. Thank you. Thank you, Sue, so much. Now, Sue is going to also have a great book dedicated to her for the library's collection, and now she can visit it all she wants. 19th Century American Women Write Religion, Lived Theologies and Literature by Mary McCartan Warren, edited by her. I think you'll enjoy that one very much. And, if you don't know about our books program, if you have someone you'd like to recognize, to honor, or maybe celebrate a birthday or a birth of a new grandchild, or it's someone that you want to recognize in memory of, a great thing to do is to sponsor a book. And then the person will have a nice letter like these ladies have that tell them about the occasion on which they're being honored or remembered, and then the book that's going to be in the libraries for them. And just recently, when my grandson was born, D.M. Edwards, who's on our board here, honored us with a nice book in his honor, and it was so exciting that the other day, my daughter, who's a faculty member here, had taken Luke, my little grandson, to the library to get some books, because they check out, books from our collection. We have a fabulous children's collection. And he picked out one of the books, and they opened it, and guess what was in the front? It's dedicated to Luke Hammerly from DM Edwards. It was the most exciting moment. They took pictures and everything and took it home with them. It was so fun. And so it's a very nice way to honor someone. And it benefits the library. And you know, flowers and things like that, they're just not tax deductible. That's all I can say. You know, so if you're interested in our books program, just talk to Kathy Hillman. She does a great job of helping us work with librarians and select great books, and she does a wonderful job on that. Two of our library board members are not with us tonight, but I'm going to mention them as well. Blaine McCormick, who has been our faculty representative, has done a terrific job, and he studies Benjamin Franklin and is a scholar that studies Franklin. And his book is going to be The Unfinished Life of Benjamin Franklin by Douglas Anderson. And then the last board member who also is traveling, and I'm just so jealous because I think she's abroad, I think she's having a lot of fun, is Kay Olsen. And we love Kay Olsen. She's a longtime supporter of Poage Library and encourager to us. And we have selected a book called Believer, My 40 Years in Politics by David Axelrod. And I think she'll love having that book in the library. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. So one other thing that I wanted to mention to you that you might not know about is that Kay and Lyndon also are, as I mentioned, very generous supporters of the library, and they wanted to honor Ben because of his retirement at the end of May. He didn't want them to honor him, and it took a lot of convincing to let them do that. But they did establish an endowment in his honor, and I'm going to ask David Cortez. David, stand so people will know who you are. This is Development Officer David Cortez for the libraries. They established a wonderful endowment, and what's the exact title of Ben's endowment?
Oh goodness, you put me on the spot. It's the Ben Rogers Poage Library Educational Endowed Fund.
Good job.
Yeah. That was pretty good. And they really honored Ben, and they talked to him, and they said, well, what would really you like to have for your library? And it's not going to surprise Eric at all, because you know there are a lot of things that Ben might want, but he wanted things that were for educational purpose, so that those kids that come to the library, there are funds there to make sure we can take care of the needs to make that kind of a tour possible, exhibits, outreach, all the kinds of things that our interns often work with. And so he's worked diligently for internships, but this time to honor him and his name, he wanted something that would go on to give, Ben, practical stuff, and I wasn't surprised at all, and I think it's going to be something that all of the faculty and staff that work there and the students are going to really appreciate. So if you are thinking of honoring Ben in some way, you certainly could also contribute toward that endowment if you like, online, or you could talk to David or me. But he wouldn't tell you that, but I will. But I plan to make a gift for him, before his retirement at the end of May. So anyway, we're really happy about that. Let's see now. I also wanted to call John Wilson up because I talked to Ben yesterday. As I mentioned, he's feeling better, and he's very humble. But I said to him, Ben, do you have anything you'd like for us to share? And you know what? He already had a prepared letter. How do you like that? He's been thinking. And he said, I actually do. And so I'm going to ask John. John will be leading the Poage Library during the interim period, and we'll be doing kind of a review of that. We always do that when we change directors. So he'll be working with, and already has, he kind of got called on immediate duty, and he's been working with Ben for a smooth transition during this time. So I'm going to ask John to read it for us.
I'm feeling very guilty because I was supposed to read a lot more about Eric, so I might do it in a minute. And also because I know Ben is going to be listening to this, and he'll chew me out. So now I've got to try to channel Ben as much I can. Remember, he's from South Carolina, and I did go to the University of South Carolina for my graduate work, but I do not have a low country accent at all. So come on, Ben Rogers. Let's see. And you'll pick up some of this. Thank you for coming tonight to celebrate the progress Poage Library has made. When I came to Poage in 1991, I'd been working for the music library for 18 months. Avery Sharp allowed me to make the move because the position paid more. I'd worked in archives before, and I was looking forward to a return to just working with boxes of papers. Working with people was not on my to-do list. To do is in all caps, with an exclamation point afterwards. You see Ben here? But before I could become completely acclimated to the boxes of the congressional papers, whom should arrive but Jack Hightower? Regularly, exclamation point. And always with another Masonic friend from Austin, and always with more materials, scrapbooks, memorabilia, and photographs. And he kept coming for the next 20 years. His wife, Colleen, has been an integral part of the progress of the library, as well as his daughters. And I just didn't make this up for you. When the judge decided to donate his 3,000 signed book collection, his friends, led by David Hill, Kent Vance, and Lyndon Olsen, mobilized friends to provide funds to convert the reading room to the Hightower Book Vault. After just his second year in office, Lieutenant Governor Bob Bullock decided to begin depositing his papers at Baylor. This association has now lasted 22 years, and Poage is still receiving materials through Jan Bullock. The opening of the Bullock Archive in 2004 was an outstanding event in the history of the Poage Library. Around 1998, Ben Guttery discovered Poage Library while researching his book, Representing Texas. He decided Poage was the perfect place for his collection of campaign materials from 1,200 Texas politicians. The next year, he deposited 2,000 campaign buttons arranged in alphabetical order. When was I ever going to have time to hide in the stacks with the boxes? In 1999, the Dowdy family contacted the library wanting to give us funds from the John and J.D. Dowdy Foundation. Who knew we needed money? After establishing the Dowdy Research Grant, the Dowdy family continued to assist with special projects annually for the next 12 years, culminating with endowments for archival supplies and for library interns. Such persistent people! Exclamation point again. How could I ever return to just processing papers? By the time the 25th anniversary of Poage Library rolled around, Fowler West suggested organizing a Friends of the Library group to raise funds for special collections. There you are, Fowler. With the approval of Judge Hightower, Alan Steelman, and Fowler, the standing committee was established, allowing hundreds of friends to work together on projects like the Hightower Book Vault and the compact shelving. The last 10 years has provided phenomenal progress with the addition of staff and endowments, an annual lecture, and significant events. The 35th anniversary brought together 100 close friends, and with Ben, you know, 100 close friends, to celebrate what was first suggested by Marvin Leith and nurtured to reality by Fowler West, Frank Mavern, and a host of others. Your attendance indicates your commitment to continue the vision of Bob Poage and so many others. I'm glad I never quite got back to hiding in the back with the boxes. Thank you for your friendship. Ben Rogers, Rockwell, Texas. I told you I couldn't do it justice. You know how he has that dry sense of humor, and he can get you every time. Do you mind if I do this internship properly?
It'll be fine. Tim will like it.
Okay. I mean, since it is being recorded and I messed it up before. So, Eric, we're going to pay tribute to you again, okay? This was the reason I wanted to do it. It says, the library's internship program began in 2010 at the suggestion of Ben Rogers. Since then, approximately 20 students have learned from and contributed to the Central and Electronic Libraries, Poage, the Texas Collection, and the Armstrong Browning Library. And last summer, Eric Swanson held the John and Sarah Dowdy and Dowdy internship in Poage. And I'm so sorry they can't be here tonight, because they're special people. So, as you all know, Eric does come from California, and he earned his BA in history from Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania. In addition to his internship, and I like this, Eric, Eric's summer jobs have included directing archery and teaching climbing at Boy Scout camp, selling cutlery, you don't see that word all every time, and interning at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. He will graduate in May, as I said, with his master's in museum studies, and he may even stay in Texas. So I said, "You going back to California?" He goes, "Oh, I kind of like Texas." So I think we have a convert. Thanks.
Let's give him another hand. John was right. Ben loves students, and it was his idea to do the internship, which I immediately thought was a great idea because he presented such a good case for it. And our goal a few years ago, when Judge Starr came and started doing the scholarship campaign, was to raise funds for 10 endowed internships for the libraries. And I'm proud to tell you that we have 6. So we're getting there, and we're really pleased, and it will keep on giving. It'll be every year that will continue to produce funds for students like Eric. So thank you, Eric, and we appreciate your time and all you've done for Poage Library. I'd like to call on Fowler West, who has a little presentation as well. Fowler, the chair of our standing committee, which has been so supportive of Poage Library and of Ben. We thank you, Fowler.
Thank you, Tenor. I appreciate being here and imposing on your time. Dean Nord, Representative Edwards, Chairwoman Starr, there you are, and I have a secret, John. I worked for the Texas collection under Guy B. Harrison, and it was a great place then, but I understand it's a marvelous place now. And again, thank all of you. That story is correct about how the standing committee was formed. I just remembered Ben grabbing Judge Hightower, Alan Steelman, former Congressman from Dallas, and myself, and they immediately said, "Let's nominate Fowler to be chair." So I became chair. And then Skip Dowdy is co-chair. And Skip couldn't be here, as you know, tonight, and I'm so sorry. They have been such a wonderful asset to the library. But the library is under good care now with Debbie, Mary, and with Bill Hare, and under the leadership of Dean Orr. It's in very good hands. And I have a presentation that Skip and I were going to give together as co-chairs, but there's a plaque from the standing committee to honor Ben, and I'll read it very quickly. In honor of Ben Rogers, Ben has been the heart, soul, and driving force in the development of the W.R. Poage Legislative Library at Baylor University for over 23 years. Through Ben's tireless efforts, the Poage Library has added substantially to the collection of materials from members of Congress and other officials from the state of Texas and elsewhere. Under Ben's leadership, the Poage Library has become one of the foremost political collections in the nation. On the occasion of his well-deserved retirement, the Standing Committee gratefully presents this token of our gratitude to Ben Rogers. Ben, wherever you are, and I assume you're in Rockwall, this is for you. Ben always told me, anytime I had an idea, he said, "Now, you know, we think it's maybe good, but we've got to talk to Dean Orr about it and make sure we clear it through her." But Ben, I have to tell you, the idea of having the dean drive all the way to Rockwell to bring you this plaque is a little ridiculous. I also have a letter here from Skip Dowdy, who could not make it. It says, "Dear Ben, I understand that you are retiring. You have made this decision without checking with me first. Being a student of the United States Constitution, I have exhausted all research efforts in trying to find an exception to the 13th Amendment. Being unsuccessful in this endeavor, I have no choice but to wish you the best. The plaque, which is to be presented to you, expresses the feelings of all members of the standing committee, and it surely does. Your service to Baylor University, the Poage Library, and all of us is appreciated beyond words. Your professionalism and skill are unchallenged. All who know you have seen you work so hard that we're proud to testify about your efforts for the library. I plan to be at the dinner tonight celebrating your retirement. However, as I explained to Fowler, a muscle spasm in my back has caused me to temporarily be on some medication which makes me semi-goofy. I'd only say that it's improved in some. Accordingly, I do not need to be behind the wheel for at least a week. And then he says, when I have to start taking the muscle relaxant, my plans changed from driving to flying. Accordingly, if I go to sleep while traveling, I will be on a Southwest Airlines jet instead of the freeway. And then he congratulates Ben on his impending retirement, as we all do. And I thank all of you for your time, and I want to tell you how great this committee that you run and you're members of and work so faithfully for the library. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this evening, and we again thank you all for coming. I wanted to say a couple of things a little bit off script, but I learned tonight that the reason there was, and you'll have to help me, Fowler, but they were Fowler, you, and Ben, and who else was staying?
Alan Steelman and Judge Hathauer.
Okay, we're in the Poage Library and talking about the name for the committee that they were going to chair, and Baylor said, well, we're standing up, so I guess we're the standing committee. Love that story. The only other one I wanted to relay to you has to do with what we're going to do next, which is my favorite part of a meal, dessert. We are actually in for a real treat. We'll have dessert in the Garden of Contentment outside, but from what I understand, Ben Rogers said if it were up to him and he could pick dessert, it would be warm apple pie and ice cream. And the reason for that is because no matter how bad the meal is or how bad the program was, everyone would forget it if they had warm apple pie. So I'm not for sure, Ben, if that's what we're having or not, but we are in for a good dessert, I know, and coffee outside in the Garden of Contentment. So I hope you will please just carefully make your way out, and I guess we'll go out the back doors and up the steps there, and we'll get to visit some more. So thank you again for coming. I'm glad that you are all here.